So thank you both for spending the time with me this afternoon. I'm really excited to not only just be on campus, on Westfield Insurance's campus for the first time. I got a little tour this morning of the building and all of the changes happening here, but I'm also excited to talk with you both about the really cool things that you guys are doing within the farm and agribusiness industry in particular. But let's step back and look at the history of Westfield, because I know as an independent agency, we're located in Wadsworth, Ohio, only 15 minutes away from Westfield Insurance. So not only are we getting the advantage of the national reputation of Westfield, but we also get the local benefits as well as what you guys are doing in the community, and being able to drive down here and talk with you guys, and you stopping out at our office and talking with us. So it's been a really good relationship for us. But let's talk about the roots of Westfield and the history behind Westfield, and then some of the initiatives that you may be taking moving forward here. Bethany, do you want to?
Sure.
Okay.
So we we're a company that was founded 170 years ago, and we got our roots are from farming. And throughout our 170 years, we have always remained a piece of the farming and agribusiness community. Farming and agribusiness certainly looks a lot different now than it does 170 years ago. There's a big technology piece that has come into play. We've got all kinds of agricultural technology and agribusinesses that have grown up from that farming community that we still work with and focus on today from an insurance standpoint. So it's always been a piece of our past.
What are some of the trends that you're seeing in the farm space today? And with that, what are also some of the largest risks that you're seeing them face?
The auto line of business is really challenging right now, and it can present a lot of risk to any business or even a homeowner. So we're seeing a lot of distracted driving on the roads now.
Sure.
So there's more miles being driven, there's more distracted miles being driven. So really, I think that they're probably more dangerous roads than they have been in the past. And you add on top of that the fact now when you cause an accident, the chances are the value of the vehicle in that collision is a lot higher than it was before. So the cost to repair or replace an automobile is much higher. And then kind of the last component of that is medical costs. So of course medical costs are only going up, and if unfortunately somebody's injured badly in an accident and ends up in the hospital or whatever the case may be, there's going to be some pretty high medical costs very quickly. So all those factors combined is really presenting a challenge to the auto line of business, and probably one of the biggest risks to a business if one of their vehicles is involved in a serious accident.
I think a few other trends that we see and things that we talk about a lot in the industry and things that we can help with in insurance stem around food safety. So making sure that we're offering a reliable product to the consumer, one that's not contaminated with anything. You see in the news frequently recalls for this and recalls for that. So we want to work with our customers to make sure that we have great food safety practices in place, and whether that be controlling the point of origin or making sure we have testing in place so that we can catch that before it gets to that end consumer. Sure. So we're really focused on that, and I think I mentioned it earlier in our introduction that technology in agriculture has changed a lot over the years, and so I think it's one thing to be able to acknowledge that, but it's another thing to be able to offer coverage, to be able to keep up with those changes in technology over time. So whether that's improved technology in your combine to be able to keep you on track as you're harvesting, or whatever that is, we're offering insurance solutions to help cover that increased value in equipment and that electronic data in your equipment. And I think one of the bigger risks too that we face as we move down that path of technology is some of those cyber exposures that we're starting to see creep into.
Sure. So do you see any trends, speaking to technology or otherwise related to recall, across the food supply chain? And I know, farmers tend to start that process for us, but what happens when a distributor or a actual retail store ends up selling the romaine lettuce or something? How does it trickle back down to the farmer, and what should they be paying attention to up front to avoid that from happening? Outside of food safety, what other things can they be kind of implementing in their space?
Yeah, well, I think one of the most important things rests in the contract that they have, and so that all parties involved in the transaction understand who's responsible for what. And so a lot of it just rests with, really, it's really a need for good legal advice in many cases, understanding exactly, what you're responsible for, and potentially, what liability you could be assuming from another party. So it's a great idea to really have a good handle on your contracts. Hopefully you're operating with the contract, but we certainly know there's times where things are probably done on a handshake, right? So, while that might have been fine and good practice once upon a time, it's probably a good idea wherever feasible to really think about your true exposures there, and maybe it's time to get a good contractual review.
Sure, that's good. So let's focus on the small farmer right now. What are some risk management related strategies that you'd recommend the small farmer kind of put an emphasis on, keeping technology in mind, keeping succession planning, and like all of the little things that are changing and are moving fastly for them? Like what things can they do today to help them minimize the risks that they face?
So I think, like Nate mentioned earlier, one of our big exposures is our auto exposure. Yeah. So that's where we see a lot of losses. That's where a lot of things come from. So it's making sure you're checking MVRs on your drivers, making sure you have good quality drivers in place, and have some kind of standards. So whether it's completely formalized or just kind of a regular conversation, make sure you have clear expectations set, that you're not becoming a distracted driver, that cell phone usage is limited while you're driving, and just making sure that your employees know what you expect of them. And having that conversation, I think, is the first step for any small farm.
It's really kind of about pre-planning, right? And just really taking a look at holistically your operation and basically what could either get you sued or cause some kind of auto problem or cause a loss to your property. So on the property side, we obviously strive to ensure property owners who are maintaining their properties as much as possible. We understand a farm to farm, but depending on the particular type of farm, we certainly look for, if it's maybe a confinement operation, things like updating the electrical if it's a kind of an aging building, and things of that nature that are kind of preventative that might help prevent that catastrophe.
Okay. As underwriters, you get a lot of insurance, we call them proposals, that the agents are sending to you. So you're getting those across your table. What kind of, as you look through that proposal and review what the agent has sent you, what kind of signs do you look for that say, okay, this looks like a good program for Westfield, this fits Westfield's ideals?
Sure. So I think we see farms or commercial businesses on a broad spectrum, right? So maybe from best case scenario to worst case scenario. One of the things, though, that we really look for is, what's the overall buy-in from either management or ownership of their view on risk management. A lot of it's, predictable, right, just from the physical attributes. So you can kind of see a pride of ownership, things that are well maintained, just general upkeep, those kind of things, maybe the upkeep of their fleet, things of that nature that you can tell, okay, this is a business owner or a farm owner that really takes pride in their property and really takes things to the next level. And it goes on to there, to get a feel for their level of engagement and buy-in really is, do they push a safety culture, really? So do they promote that throughout their ranks, throughout their employees to be open, make suggestions to improve operations, identify a safety hazard that could cause some kind of either work comp claim or, again, liability claim or a fire hazard or whatever the case may be. I really look for management buy-in, and it's a little harder on the smaller farms because maybe we're not able to connect. So that might be a little more applicable to the larger businesses where we have a little closer, maybe working relationship through our risk control folks, or oftentimes as the underwriter, I may go out with the agent and get to meet those folks in management. But you can really get a good feel, and that's one of the unique things I think at Westfield is we get those opportunities to travel out there, meet some of our customers, accompany our agents on maybe new prospect calls or renewal business, and really we try to solidify that working relationship and have our customers understand why we're making these risk management suggestions to them.
So I think that's all great when you have a large account where you're getting a lot of details. I think as the account size shrinks and you're looking at small operations, we're not diving into the weeds. We want that ease of doing business. We want to be able to meet your needs on a relatively quick basis and kind of move forward. So we're looking at things like your loss history, making sure that there hasn't been a frequency or severity kind of trend in your loss history. We're looking at your insurance score, and we're just looking at a couple of those high-level things, making sure everything makes sense for your operation. So it's your loss history, your insurance score, and making sure that there's complete information there. Having complete information to get that quote put together is the easiest thing to be able to get a quote out and get it bound.
Oh, good. Bethany, what's one thing that you love most about your career here?
Yeah, I've been here 10 years, and I grew up in the agricultural industry, and so I didn't know what I wanted to do in agriculture, but I knew I wanted to stay in agriculture, so I found the insurance piece of it, and it's been great here to be at Westfield. My family, we have our own kind of mini farm going on at home, and so it ties into everything I do on a daily basis. My family's still involved in the industry, and so I like to be able to have the opportunity to continue to learn about the industry, to see what's happening on it, and to be able to continue to do that as part of my job, not just as a hobby that is something I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What about you, Nate?
I think I've really enjoyed just the opportunity for growth, the opportunity to meet new people, met a lot of great people. I've been here 6 years. I've worked with insurance agents and traveled from Maryland to Arizona, and many places in between, and just learning. I like to learn new things all the time about, new types of operations maybe that I haven't been into before, and really it's like you see something new all the time, and so I love to just learn and kind of expand my horizons and meet new people, and really it's a fascinating industry. There's going to be a lot of growth in ag as we continue to move forward. There's so much value ag going into the food chain now that it's really exciting to just see or to be involved in a segment that continues to grow.